Hey everyone, welcome to another Sound Money Matters Live. This is your host, Daniel Diaz. I'm going to bring up our Director of Operations, Benjamin Schaefer, in the meantime. Hey Ben, how you doing?
Doing great. Good to be on.
This is Tiger Stacker right here. If you want to take it, we're waiting for Tiger Stacker to arrive. He's calling me right now. Give me 1 second, guys. Benjamin, go ahead and take it.
Yeah, so we're really excited to have Tiger Stacker on. You know, one of the coolest things that we're going to talk about tonight is a little bit about what it means to leave a legacy. And I think that this is the biggest problem. One of the big problems with things that aren't sound money in our world today is that a lot of our financial thinking, a lot of our political thinking, a lot of everything we do really is very short-term thinking. And sound money, gold and silver, really are about the long term. It's not about today or tomorrow. It's about what about 100 years from now? And how are we going to build, a community, build an economy that actually works for people in the long run? So I'm excited to talk to Tiger Stacker about that. I really like his stories about how he's gotten involved in doing this, and a lot of it is that he's doing it for his posterity, right? He's doing it for his kids and his kids' kids. So yeah, I'm excited to share a few thoughts tonight about that long-term thinking. Oftentimes when we build a building, for example, we build it so we can flip it in our modern American society instead of building a home for the next 100 years. What's the 100-year plan? Is what we need to ask ourselves sometimes instead of what is the 2-year plan or the 5-year plan. And a lot of that goes away. And I think that one of the reasons why it goes away is because we don't have sound money. Because as things are unstable, it kind of becomes pointless to worry too much about too long term. Sometimes in a job interview, a boss will ask what used to be a typical question. They'd ask, "Where do you see yourself in 10 years?" Right. And of course, they're probably hoping for you to say, "Oh, yeah, I understand the structure of the company. I want to still be here in 10 years. Here's how I plan to climb the ladder. Here's my ambitions." It's hard to have ambitions when you don't know what the currency is going to be in 10 years, if you don't know what the company is going to be in the future. And so what you really need to do if you want to have a successful long-term plan for your community is you have to have the stability necessary to plan for the long term. And I would say that is the problem when we don't have sound money. When we have the fiat money or the instability in our monetary system, you just can't plan for the long term. This is why El Salvador has had so much difficulties. This is why Argentina's had difficulties. This is why Turkey's having a lot of problems. What do you do when you can't count on your currency? You can't count on your money being there in the future. And so I invite everybody as we talk about these issues of legacy tonight, these issues of long-term planning, think for yourself a little bit. Well, where do I see myself in 10 years? But also, where do I see this project? Where do I see my community in 100 years when I'm not here anymore to be part of it? They say that civilization only truly thrives. I've heard this said. I forget who said it first. Civilization will only truly thrive when old men will plant trees in whose shade they may never sit. When we have that kind of attitude for our sound money, for our communities, then it makes a lot more sense to really put in the type of long-term investment necessary to let your community truly thrive even in the present. So I'm going to tell you a couple of stories, since it looks like I've got a couple of minutes. One of them I'd love to mention is that before I came working for Citizens for Sound Money as the director of operations, I was a estate planning attorney. And one of the main things that happens with estate planning attorneys is people say, "What are we going to do? What are we going to do with our legacy? What about our stuff? What happens after we're gone?" And not enough people thought about the bigger picture of what legacy am I leaving? And so I would encourage people not just to put their house in a trust and these basic things that any attorney can do for you. I would say, don't forget to write down your story, because then you'll be able to instill in the next generation your ideas. And that will carry on much longer even than the money that you might leave behind. even if it's sound money, but definitely if it's fiat money. Welcome back, Daniel.
Yeah, thanks, Ben, and thanks for holding down the fort. We were having some technical difficulty with Tiger. I had to help him with the link. I put in the wrong place apparently, and he is with us. So I'm going to introduce him and add him to the channel. Tiger, are you there with us?
I'm here. Welcome, everyone.
Hey, there he is.
Hey. And look at that beautiful stack.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I believe in stacking silver and gold, but I'm a huge believer in stacking fractional. Ergo, I brought out one of my many gold backs.
Excellent. Well, Tiger, thank you for joining us, man. And Benjamin, I'm going to bring you back up once we get into the legacy part of the show. And thanks for holding down the fort. This is why you're our director of operations. When I can't get a hold or do something, you're right there to back me up.
Just
so thank
ask
you.
me.
All right, buddy. We'll bring you back up shortly. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, buddy. All right, guys. Go ahead, Tiger.
I said no problem.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Tiger. I think you have a very interesting story. So for our audience, Tiger Stacker is a newer influencer in the stacking arena. You got Yankee Stacker, you have Silver Stacker, Salivate Stacker, a bunch of others. And I came across Tiger Stacker. I'm not exactly sure how I came across you, Tiger, but I think it might have been Yankee Stacking. And I think you reached out to us via email. You might have saw my interview. That's what it was. You saw my interview with Yankee Stacker, and he connected us, and that's how we got connected. But I really think that your story has something to share with our audience and with people in general. And you're so legacy focused. And before we really get into your story, we have a tradition on our channel at Sound Money Matters to ask two questions that our late founder Jim Forsyth started. And the first question of the two is, why is sound money important?
Well, sound money is important simply because it really is real money. It has been forever. If you look at it, I've done a lot of different videos on what you've just mentioned. One of my earlier videos was called basically that this is God's money. Man can create paper, but God has created gold and silver and everything else for that matter. Man cannot create this. He can destroy it, such as putting a monster box of silver eagles in a Tomahawk missile, but he can't create. What we can only do is manufacture paper. But this has been going on for a long time. So we need something that is going to last the test of time, has lasted the test of time. So sound money should not be able to be inflated away. It should not be able to be manipulated. And that's what makes it sound. You hold it, you own it. So for me, sound money is what you can keep out of the system for you, for your family, for the next generation, and hopefully teach them in the process.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's a great segue into our next question, and then getting into the topic, which is about protecting your families and your future. And that next question is, tell us about your background. How did you become Tiger Stacker? What did you do before becoming Tiger Stacker? And why did you become Tiger Stacker?
Well, I first started as a watcher on YouTube. In 2021, all my memories started flooding back as I was working continually harder and harder and harder to be able to maintain what I had. And I had these thoughts intermittently through time, but it didn't really hit until 2021. And what happened was memories of my grandfather teaching me about things such as silver dollars. and coins at that time were coming out of being silver, and it didn't stick in my brain that much. But that plus a number of other things coming into mind, and I just basically started remembering things. So I tried getting into basically started getting into stocks again, lost again, tried crypto for the first time, lost, not nearly as bad. And then these memories started becoming stronger and stronger. I talked to a friend of mine and says, well, why don't you go down to the local pawn shop? They're the best coin shop in the area, and they are. And I went in there and I started learning about all sorts of things, including, that clad, you can see the copper on the edge, where if it's silver, it's not. And started watching YouTube a lot. First teacher was my dear friend, Lynette Zhang, and then started watching Yankee Stacking, then Silver Dragons, and a number of others. And I guess because of my personality, people started saying, why don't you start your own channel? Well, I wanted to change my name because, like most stackers, I don't want people coming to the house. And I did a video that is called Why ? Tiger ? Which explains the reason why. I was born year of the tiger according to the Chinese zodiac, and I couldn't think of another way to complete the name. And I was talking to Yankee because I'm a top tier level member, and he's also my mentor. It's like, dude, you're stacking not just silver, not just gold, you're stacking water and food, and you're planning on putting solar to your house. So just go with straight tiger stacker and float off the tongue very well. So my first 3 videos I did with very little experience, and they're kind of boring. And then on the 4th video, the character Tiger Stacker was born. My wife walks into the studio and films me filming myself being the character, and I've had a grand time, sometimes playing the role of the tiger and sometimes just being myself teaching. So I got into YouTube for basically 4 reasons. The first of which is my wife, who runs her own YouTube channel, Dog World and You, about dog training and breeding. She wasn't doing so well. She was making the videos for herself, for her own entertainment. And you have to make it for the viewer if you really want to be successful. And to be successful in YouTube, plus also use her YouTube channel to promote her business. The second reason is because I wanted to leave messages for my grandsons and possibly a granddaughter on the way, that their grandmother and me love them very much, because my son has daddy issues. He isn't letting us see our grandchildren out of pure vengeance. And I wanted to make sure that there's going to be stuff out there proving to these youngsters that they are loved despite the internal political stuff in the family. The third reason was I wanted to leave messages for my grandchildren about all the wisdom that was given to me from my grandfather to me and from me to them, so that they can learn how to protect themselves, because governments are never going to change. They're always going to try to manipulate the people, and the people have to rely on themselves and the community and try to make sure that they go ahead and take care of themselves and their families. And this, plus stacking other things such as food, water, shelter, security, lead, other things, is going to be how we survive crises. So that was the fourth reason, or the third reason. The fourth reason was I wanted the viewers to learn. and I have I think similar,
Yeah.
but yet a different perspective. So as I'm teaching my grandsons, I wanted to teach the subscribers, the viewers, and everyone. Then came later on a realization that if I do really well at this, being an older fella, I possibly don't have to work as hard as an emergency room doctor, spend more time with my wife, still support financially my family, and have a grand time doing it, because it's a lot more fun being on YouTube than dealing with hospital politics.
Yeah. Did you mention that you were a ER doctor? I'm not sure if you mentioned that in your background.
No, I didn't. I just mentioned it just now. I am actually boarded as a family doctor, but most of my career has been in emergency rooms. So I have spent a lot of time, what the grander part of 30 years, working in emergency rooms, and there's no job security. They all want to pay on a 1099, no due process. I've seen loads of good doctors let go because a hospital administrator gets a hair put the wrong way up his nose and lets someone go just because. So no job security. This is security.
Yeah.
And
100%.
the loyalty of good subscribers is security, not only of a job in the future, but if you put your subscribers first, your viewers first, then they sense that, then they're going to subscribe, they're going to stay loyal, as long as you stay loyal to them and make them part of this. That's what makes our community in YouTube so much more precious, no pun intended, so much more precious than, say, the gaming community. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what really was interesting about, your story, and you made this public, and you shared this in confidence with me. I think after you interviewed me for the first time, that you were diagnosed with cancer, and part of the reason you're doing this is to share, your wisdom, as you said in your answer to the question about your background, that your wisdom about sound money, educating your grandchildren so that when you and your wife are gone, they can go back and see the legacy on YouTube and the information that you've shared. And like one of my favorite videos, because if you guys hear background noise, I'm actually filming this not in my normal location. I'm actually at my new coin shop, and I got the electrician here doing some final work. So that's why you might hear some background noise. I've been trying to mute it, but you sharing your history and your diagnosis and the reasons why you have this channel, I think is very powerful. And in this episode is leaving a stable legacy in an unstable economy. And you pointed at several things. One, that's gold and silver is money, and it's a store of value. That's really the third characteristic that differentiates currency from money, that you can put your economic energy, your savings into gold and silver, and you, not just your children, but your grandchildren and your great grandchildren, as long as they there's the guy, as long as they hold the gold and silver, it will maintain its value, right?
Backdoor.
well, if I can also put things in chronological perspective, I did a video called Worsening Trends Exposed, in which I went from mentioning the stuff previous to that video, the wisdom I got from my grandfather, then did the video called Worsening Trends Exposed, which I talked about what I had witnessed in my lifetime. I won't take up a lion's share of this interview with that. I'll just say, if you all want to see what I've experienced in my lifetime, go see that. I also did it, and this was 2021 and 2022. In 2022, I realized my wife was not listening to all the wisdom I was giving her. Subsequently, I made a letter called, I call it the death letter. It was first started in 2022, long before the diagnosis of breast cancer. And I wanted to leave messages to her how to have exit strategies in case she needs funds, how to liquidate, what to do, all that type of stuff. So subsequently, I went ahead and did a video on that called "You're Dead, Your Family's in Trouble." Since then, I've recently redone it, in which I've done the 8th version of what I call the death letter. And that video is called Death Letter, where I think I did even a better job explaining why we as stackers who love our family need to leave them more than just a will. Last will and testament, highly important. Giving them the knowledge what to do. How many times have you heard of someone going to a pawn shop, a coin shop, not knowing what they had, not knowing the value of what they had going on, and either held on to it, still not knowing, or worse yet, got taken advantage of? In fact, yesterday, I did a live stream on my channel with my partner, Frostbite Coins. We do an every 2-week thing called Stack-A-Lector, aka Stack Collector, in which we both try to protect the community. And we talked about how this one fella who was very kind to an elderly couple, when they passed away, they willed him the property and their safe. They crowbarred the safe open, and it was full of gold and silver. And just out of straight kindness, they're now a stacker and not knowing what they got. So they're now hurrying up and trying to play catch up. That's what's on yesterday's live stream. The point is, first came the YouTube channel, then came the Teach the Wife with the letter, then 2 videos about 3 years apart from each other, and now until to current day. The diagnosis of cancer was released to the public on that video. Why? Because you never know when Jesus is going to call you home, and you have to teach. My dad taught me this. I lived by it, and I also saw it on the movie Black Panther. A father that doesn't teach his family and prepare them for his ultimate demise has failed as a husband and a father. I intend not to fail. Nor do I intend to die.
No, 100%. And I've done episodes on different channels about leaving a legacy, and one of my recommendations is that every single person, whether you have 2 shekels to your name or $2 billion, should have a living revocable trust, because it does several things. One, it avoids probate, and I think this would be a good time to bring Benjamin in, since he is an attorney and an estate attorney for most of his career. One thing that always comes to the forefront, like I was opening up my trust bank accounts because I have no personal bank accounts. All my bank accounts are either in my company names or in my trust name. And I was explaining to the manager of the bank and to the banker that I was working with on, the fact that it just dawned on me there. I'm like, look, everything that we have, our possessions, my clothes, my cars, my jewelry, gold and silver, we never really own that stuff. We are just custodians, right? Or trustees of these things while we're here on earth. And when we die, we're just making sure that we're taking care of those to pass it on to our heirs. And by setting up a living revocable trust, it puts to the forefront, I own nothing. The trust and the business owns everything. It owns the businesses. It owns my gold. I don't even own my clothes. Everything is owned by my trust. And when I pass away, I have instructions on where all my things go. And I think it's so important for this discussion and the way that you did this, the way that you came out and you shared with people. That you had cancer and like what happens when you die, and the videos that you've made on how to sell your gold and silver, and you're just constantly educating, and that's a big part of what we're doing at Citizens for Sound Money. We're not just informing people on the legislative stuff. We're not just informing people on the value of gold and silver. We want to educate people on how to make the best decisions for their children, their grandchildren, their wives, their families through financial literacy, sound money education. And one thing that we were going to be doing in the future, which I think this is a good episode to eventually segue segue in that how to do financial planning and trust planning and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ty, if you want to just share a couple words, and then I'll let Benjamin jump in about that.
Well, basically, what I wanted to do was teach. And then when I got hit with the diagnosis of breast cancer, I souped it up.
Yeah.
I wrote the 8th letter of the death letter. I made the new video called Death Letter, which I think was way more well done because I was a new YouTuber on the first one. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have the high tech that my brother-in-law gives me. My brother-in-law has taken me from to what? So in the process of that, I want to say this much. All the prayers, all the good words, I'm extremely grateful for because I do believe in the power of prayer. But the purpose of the video, for both of them, was, well, actually the second one, because the first one didn't have cancer. The second one was to take my lemons and turn it into their lemonade. Take my example, protect their families, make their lemonade, because our Lord, he suffered hard for us. And I'm not putting myself on his level. I'm never going to be at his level. But to take something terrible and make it something good for everyone, that is the mark of a good citizen, a good father, a good husband, a good best friend. That's a mark of being a good Christian. So I want everyone out there, take my lemon, turn it into your family's lemonade, prepare your family, because you
Amen.
don't when you're going to be taken from this earth.
100%. Benjamin?
The thing I just keep thinking, listening to both of you, is that so much of this is about a change in your perspective, a change in your mindset. That's why the education is important. That's why we have to teach our families, but it's because we want them to think about things as they really are, to think about the world in a different way. So one way that we do this, of course, right, is that we say, stop thinking in terms of dollars, start thinking in terms of gold and silver, right? Yeah. How much is this piece of silver worth or that piece of gold worth? It's not worth what you can get it for it in dollars. It's worth what you can get for it in the abstract, in the marketplace. The dollars themselves are just a poor measuring tool that just is shrinking, right? So let's think in these different ways. It's the same thing, I think, with this idea of a trust or a living trust. If you see yourself as the absolute owner, then it doesn't matter what you do. But if you see yourself as the trustee of these things, that you have a duty to pass on something better than the way you left it, right? It's like one of the basic principles of camping. Leave the campsite better than you found it. Leave this world better than you found it. And here we have this beautiful tool, sound money, which Tiger Sacker was saying, this is God's money, right? The world was created with only so much of this, and it can't be created by man. It is something that has usefulness, value, and beauty, and it's real, it's tangible. But you know what? Even your stack doesn't just belong to you. You have a duty, an obligation to use it for the betterment of the world, to leave a legacy to your children, to make the world a better place. I'm trying to remember his name. There was I want to say it was Kiyosaki was talking about it. Robert Kiyosaki was talking about the difference in mindsets, of course, with the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And one of the examples he brought up was a couple of rich investor types. And there was one guy who'd made his many, many millions, and he was careless with it. And one of the things I remember that he did was he took a gold coin, a 1 ounce gold coin, and he said, I can make more money than this every day. And he tossed it out into the ocean off the boat. Just like, look, I'll just use this as a skipping stone, a gold coin. And he said, you know what? That guy ended up losing his fortune because he didn't understand the value of things. And I think it's the same thing for us. Why are we losing our freedom to fiat currency? Because we didn't understand the value of soundness. The value of the sound money is all about treating ourselves as a steward. A temporary steward, a trustee, if you will, of a trust that needs to carry on long after we're gone. And when we have that mindset, I just think we approach all of these problems differently. We make a longer plan.
Yeah, Absolutely. I think that's why we brought you on the channel, Tiger, because that is your mindset. That is what you have at the forefront. And that's really what this entire movement is about. One, helping people understand how they can protect themselves and their families. And, we don't really discuss the future after we're gone because, as an old pastor of mine used to say, look, 10 out of 10 people die. Right? We're all going to die. Whether or not we like thinking about it, it is one thing. But when you realize that we are finite, we're going to meet our maker one day. This life is going to end. The new life is going to begin. And you start thinking of that. I'm a member of the Knights of Columbus. It's a Catholic fraternal order. One of our mottos is Latin, tempus fugit memento mori, which means time flies, remember death. It should always be at the forefront of your mind. And a lot of, younger people don't think that way. In fact, like most of our audience is older. Most of our audience on this channel is 55 and above, believe it or not. We have very few people that are younger than 24 years old. In fact, we have no viewers below 24 on our statistics lately. And, I think those who are watching, this resonates with them because our audience is an older audience. And I think that if you haven't thought about what you're going to do when you pass away, because I assure you, you're going to die, what are you going to do to prepare for that moment? What are you going to do for your wife? What are you going to do for your husband, your children, your grandchildren? So, yes. And if you're watching, Tiger, thank you for saying that. Put a thumbs up. Well, give a thumbs up if you like this video. Go ahead and follow C4SM. Also follow Tiger Stacker. It's the Tiger Stacker. So, I think that this type of discussion, this type of talk, even though it's uncomfortable for a lot of people, because a lot of people don't like thinking about their mortality, it is something super important. And you kind of took that by the horns, Tiger, and you made a video about that, and you shared why it's so important. So, any thoughts before we get into the audience? Because I like to keep these shows around 40 minutes, give or take, and we're about 33 minutes into it. So, any thoughts, Tiger, about what we just discussed about leaving a legacy and trust, and you taking it by the horns?
Well, I'm going to take it one step further. I introduced you to Attorney Chris Pritt.
Yes,
he does estate planning. I already have a will and everything set up. But you gave me some good ideas that things can be expanded upon even further than what I currently have. So he's going to get a copy of my will and my living will and my power of attorney and my medical power of attorney and all that. But he's also going to get a copy of the death letter. He's also going to get a copy of my spreadsheet, what is currently my active owning possessions in the precious metals arena, with plans to try to tweak this to my plans for my family and try to make it as best as possible. So I want to thank you for that. So basically what I would really like to see everybody do is, this is going to suck, people. You got to face your own mortality.
Yeah.
You got to learn that you are not here. Think about where are your loved ones? They're in the ground. Their body is. Their soul is not, but their body is.
Yeah.
That's where you're going. Okay. You're not going to be here forever. So yes, enjoy your life, enjoy the moment, but prepare. Just as you need to prepare financially, as you need to prepare for food and water, shelter, barterability, wealth preservation, security, and most importantly, community. This is all going to be gone because you're gone. This is still here.
Yeah.
You're going to be gone. Give it to the people you love. Prepare them, make them stronger. That's the mark of a good husband, a good father, a good grandfather. So that's pretty much my biggest message for today.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bill 4572, he just subscribed and he says, I'm 63 and I think more and more about my future. 100%. And that's something I think we all need to, like you said, Tiger, we got to face our own mortality. And what happens if we're not here tomorrow? What's going to happen if you just disappear and you leave your family behind, your children, your parents, your wife, what happens if you're gone? Are you prepared? Is your family prepared? Did you set up a plan for what to do with your finances, what to do with the things that you've been keeping secret? If you have crypto, have you figured out how they're going to get access to your cryptocurrencies? Or have you figured out how they're going to get access to your bank accounts and your businesses? Do you have anything in your will? These are things we all have to think about.
I was going to say your business accounts and your crypto are two of the biggest problems that estate planning attorneys see all the time, is that people know it's out there. They know it's valuable. Sometimes it's the bulk of the estate. But if they didn't leave good records, it's all for nothing. It's like somebody who buried their stack in the backyard and then forgot where they buried it.
That's part of the death letter. I have my how to find my Robin Hoods, how to find my Charles Schwabs, what to do with them, passwords. There's 2 versions of my death letter in very secret positions. I quiz my wife routinely. Where are they? She routinely fails.
You know, I was a good thing that you could do, and others, if you're watching, I used to be a life insurance agent before I was a stockbroker, and some of my clients, they actually have like a 3-inch binder with instructions like, open this when I'm gone. They leave it for their children. They leave it, and they tell their kids, when we die, something happens to us. You open this binder and you go page by page, and you just set up a binder with instructions on everything, right? Yeah. So, I mean, that's something that I thought was really cool, that once I have a family and I mean, I have assets, but I don't really have a family to leave it to. Right now, my family and my cats. It's kind of weird. And my
you've got friends. We you got lots of people who love you, Daniel.
Yeah, I got plenty of friends and I got family, but I have no kin. So I'd have to leave. Right now, my legacy is my trust and perpetuating my trust to make sure that my kin in the future are taken care of. But yeah, that's something that I'm putting together. I have my trust, I have my will, I have my in my trust instructions on all that. I think everybody needs to think about that. But any final thoughts before we get to some questions and comments?
My only thought is I see 19 people watching and only 10 likes in there. Come on, people. It doesn't cost you any money.
Yeah, just give us a thumbs up and subscribe.
Give a like. Hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. We got to prepare and protect our citizens, especially the ones who don't know anything yet. Please, give out the love.
And we have 26 people watching on X. And if you're on X, you 26, head over to the YouTube and give us a thumbs up, and also subscribe at 4Sound Money, the same handle if you're watching on X. So let me get to a question from earlier. I think this has been a heavy talk. It's good. We need to have this talk. But here's a good question that SQ7944, who is a frequent viewer of ours, asked. He said, what is your favorite coin and why? Do you currently use silver for everyday transactions? And note, I've seen videos of people using silver to buy food in New Hampshire. Any good travel with gold stories? So what is each of your favorite coins? Go ahead, Tiger. You go first
with that. Unless you do. Unless you want to go first, Ben. Okay.
No, yeah.
I don't really know if I have a favorite coin, but I have a favorite genre.
Okay.
The oldest I've gotten, the more I have appreciated. Here, let me get this out here. The more I've appreciated the things my grandfather used to carry around.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've got, the old stuff. It emotionally ties me to my grandfather. So I love my grandfather very deeply. He was a very good grandfather. And these memories of him teaching me, and my memories of me trying to leave a legacy through YouTube for my grandchildren tie me even more so to my grandfather. So I love the old stuff. And whether you believe in us getting confiscation or not confiscation, there's a lot of debate both ways on that. It doesn't matter. I lean more towards constitutional gold and constitutional silver, but constitutional silver more for bartering, especially in small pieces. Gold because it just ties me to them. But I still love all the other stuff too. I do have a very big favoritism to the fractionality of goldbacks. And those of you in the future will see that I've got some future videos coming out to that point. So I hope I've answered all that. And I've seen the bartering in New Hampshire, both on local silver mint and on Yankee stacking. I plan on doing some things like that myself. I'm trying to get some of the people in the farmers markets to get to know me enough that they can trust me, so I can potentially do bartering and maybe videos. You got this crazy guy who has stripes trying to get them to sell me goods and services for silver, and they're like, who is this crazy nut? So but I'm planning on doing some of them like that also.
Excellent. Well, good. Awesome. Any good travel with gold stories?
Oh, I carry a travel pack with me. I have a thing I call my portable YouTube studio. So when I'm off doing work at different emergency rooms in different states, I can still do YouTube out of a hotel room. And I have 2 Ziploc baggies full of silver and gold that I'll put out and show on display whenever I'm out, and I take them with me. And I have quite a few times had my backpack pulled over to the side, and I have to whisper in their ears what it is. They'll take me into the back to verify it's nothing dangerous. And they get happy, and off I go. And they're like, "Why do you do that?" And I tell them about the YouTube channel, And I meet up with a lot of boredom. A lot of these youngsters, they don't know what I'm talking about, nor do they care. If it ain't on their phone, it's not important.
Yeah. Well, the new generation, that's what we got to reach out to them. We got to figure it out. But yeah, 100%. And I like the pre-33 or the constitutional gold and silver as well. But go ahead, Benjamin, and then I'll go ahead and share my favorite coin.
I'll share one of my favorite coins with you. It's shameless plug, the Citizens for Sound Money Lady Liberty coin.
You have no shame.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then the back is Live Free, right? And the one thing that's really fun with these is they're 1/5 of an ounce of pure silver. And this was actually how I discovered Citizens for Sound Money. Somebody paid me with one of these. They said, "Hey, would you take silver in payment?" I'm like, "Absolutely." And they said, "Here, this is 1/5 of an ounce." I thought, 1/5? You don't see 1/5 very often. What is it? And it said Citizens for Sound Money on it. That's when I first looked it up and got in contact with Jim Forsyth. Had my first conversation with him. It was because I saw one of these out in the wild. And, one of the most powerful things you can do with your sound money, and this is probably why goldbacks are one of the most useful of all, is because you get out there and you spend them. Then you created an educational opportunity. You can say, "Look, what do you accept payment in silver or gold?" I'll ask people all the time. Now, most of the time, they have no idea that I'm serious, right? I was at this store. I was buying a pair of earrings for my wife, actually, and I said, "Would you like me to pay you in gold, silver, or fiat?" And they were like, "Well, gold's always good." And then I pulled out the gold, and they were like, "Wait, I'm not sure how to do that." And so I started teaching them. Well, you can sign up to accept goldbacks. You can look up exchange rates. It's not as hard as it sounds. But then, of course, I ended up paying with a debit card because that wasn't the business owner that I was talking to. But yeah, it can be really fun to travel with your gold and silver. Just ask people. It never hurts to ask. The answer is always no until you ask.
True.
Yeah. Absolutely. So my favorite coin, I collect it. It's actually I'm a big fan of a genre, Latin Monetary Union. So the Latin Monetary Union coins are some of my favorite, and I collect them very specific. But I'm thinking now, honestly, because Spain joined the Latin Monetary Union or mirrored them, I'm a big fan of Spanish reals, gold dollars, escudos, not gold dollars, silver dollars, or the Spanish milled dollar. There's something about it being one of the first global currencies during like the 16th, 17th, 18th, even 19th centuries. You know, the Spanish milled dollar really became the global currency, and that's what the United States used first and foremost. The first U.S. dollar was actually a foreign coin. It was the 8 real, right? And the doubloons, right? The gold doubloons, which were also Spanish escudos. So I would say that's probably my favorite coin. And if we're talking about U.S. coins, my favorite U.S. coin is probably the Morgan dollar. There's something about holding a Morgan dollar and the history behind it and everything. So I would say that's why I'm a big history buff. So the Latin Monetary Union is because it was the first decentralized monetary system where countries used the same gold and silver weight and measure. And there was over 66 countries that joined it. So it was also the precursor to the European Monetary Union. So I'm a big history freak, kind of a nerd. And then the Morgan dollar, I love the Morgan dollar because it was based off of the 5 silver franc. This 5 silver franc, really a lot of the U.S. gold and silver coinage was based off the Latin Monetary Union. So Latin Monetary Union really developed a lot of the decimal coins out there. And like the dime is the same as a 5 soldi or whatever it's called in France. Soldi is Italian. So that's kind of my thing. Yes, I use gold and silver all the time. I give silver bits. I give gold backs in transactions, and some of my gold travel stories where I always carry gold. I mean, this is a Latin Monetary Union gold coin. I wear my money, and I also have my gold and silver in my big freaking gold back wallet. Like I got gold backs and I got coins. It's a weapon. This I can probably kill somebody with my wallet. It's so heavy and thick. You know, so yeah, I travel with gold and silver all the time. So yeah, and you know, there's Bill. He's like, yeah, they're nice. The 8 pieces, right? It's called the pieces of 8. The pirate money. But we are near the end of our broadcast. We're at 48 minutes past the hour. So I want to give an opportunity for each of you to give some closing thoughts. First, Benjamin, and we'll let our guests go last and leave some, information. Ben, any final thoughts before we end the broadcast?
You know, I think that tonight was really great for some very practical information. I think everybody who's watching, ask yourself, do you have a plan and do you have a record? If you have not written down your recovery phrase for your crypto, I understand it might be intimidating to try to put that onto one of those like steel plates that'll be all super secure. Look, write it on the back of a receipt or an envelope and just stick it in with your stack. Don't lose it. Would be one of my main takeaways from tonight. What you really need to do is just make a plan. If you don't have a will or a trust, everyone should have one. Everyone who has any assets to leave to the world has a responsibility to the world that they're going to leave behind to be a good steward of those things and keep a good record. So, when Tiger Stacker said that he has a spreadsheet, I thought to myself, I should do a spreadsheet of my stack. That's not a bad idea. Like, I haven't done that. Then at least I would know what I have. I could show what I have. Heck, it'd make it a lot easier to figure out how much my stack is worth, which I really don't even know right now. It's just stuff that I've collected over the years.
I got a spreadsheet for all my stack, and I also got a spreadsheet for all my ammo, my guns, where they're located, everything. So it's right? Good. Yeah.
Your property's only secure as your records. So have good private papers. Keep it with your stack. Make sure that it's not a mess. That's a good idea.
All right. And Tiger, any final words?
Spreadsheets are really good. People are human. They forget stuff, myself included. Little quick example. I did a trade with my buddy Frostbite. He wanted a $5 classic head for his collection book and traded me two $2.50 Liberty coins, basically a one-on-one type of trade. And I thought that I only had a $2.50 classic head, and thought maybe I recorded it wrong on the spreadsheet. Nope, I had a $5 one. I had a $2.50 one. I completely forgot. Not only is it there for your family members, but it's there for yourself. And you'd never know what you'll forget. Like this one I won't forget. It's my first piece of rare collectible pre-33 that I got from Zhang Enterprises. That one I won't forget, but I would forget maybe one of these. I have on here the date that I bought it, who I bought it from, and how much it cost me at the time I bought it. That way, if I have to sell or my wife has to sell, we have the information. And also, when I do have to sell, I can put it in my profit loss spreadsheet for tax purposes. So there's loads of good reasons for a spreadsheet. So it's a little extra work. It's worth it. People don't want to do it. I get that. I'm a little obsessive compulsive disorder. But then again, you want a doctor who has OCD, because a doctor with OCD is going to keep going after until you find the diagnosis and the treatment. So that's a mark of a good doctor. But it's also the mark of a good stacker and a good steward for your family. So those are some things I would like to leave for you all to think about. And, sorry if I'm giving a lot of you extra homework to do, but it's for your family. Can't hear you.
I said it's needed. It's good information. We need to hear this. We're gonna definitely have you back on, Tiger, and we're gonna probably have an episode with Ben, myself, and others. Lynette Zhang, about planning for the future and how to protect yourself. So, guys, thank you so much, Benjamin. Thanks for holding down the fort. Tiger, thank you for coming out and joining us on the channel. We will catch you next time, and I'll see you tomorrow, Ben.
Thanks, everyone.
All right,
hit the like button,
subscribe. All right, and that's it for our broadcast, everybody. So thank you for following. Go ahead and follow us on YouTube and X. That's our X handle, same as our YouTube. And that's Tigers. There's ours. Thank you so much. Please spread this episode. Give us a thumbs up, like this video, and go watch our other videos. Like those videos. Those thumbs up actually help a lot with spreading the word. We're trying to educate as many people as possible, as you saw with this episode and our other episodes. Well, everybody, thank you so much. We will catch you this Friday on our premiere. Every Friday at 7 p.m. we have a premiere with a recorded guest. And guys, thank you. Spread the Sound Money Gospel, and God bless.